got to start with the royals, of course. All the front pages have got Harry arriving at Buckingham Palace yesterday, dashed from California after getting the call from the King to say he was being treated for cancer, not the prostate, enlarged prostate that he'd already been treated for. And by all accounts, it appears, the takeaways from this are he was in the palace for 45 minutes in total before the King left for Sandringham via Buckingham Palace by a helicopter. They only met for 30 minutes. The King is now in Sandringham. Prince Harry is in London. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe there are some art galleries. Maybe he can give some tips about what he should be doing now. But he's not going to be meeting his brother, Prince William. The Prince of Wales, has returned to public duties. There is not going to be a full family rapprochement, we know. But also, I think a lot of people are quite intrigued by this idea that only 30 minutes, you haven't seen your son for 17 months. The King has told him on the phone that he's got cancer. By all accounts, at the King's coronation, Harry and Charles did not actually speak personally. He didn't go to any of the other events other than the actual ceremony. It's the first time he sees him. He's only got 30 minutes. The palace, this is classic palace source stuff. The King was on a tight schedule. You think, the King was getting his own helicopter to his own palace. I'm pretty sure the King can say, would you mind holding off for an hour and a half? My son has returned from California. What does all this tell you? And does any of it matter?
I think it tells us, obviously, that there's still not everything is on good terms,
no,
so to
safely say that.
Does this matter? I don't really think that it does. I think, it's the natural thing.
It's a family feud.
Even if you have fallen out with a relative, if you get news that they are very seriously ill, I think it's the natural thing to go and see them, even if it is only very brief, because the two of you can't stand to be in the same room as each other. You do each other the courtesy of maybe having a cup of tea and just making small talk.
How much of this do you think, though, is PR for Harry, which is that, if you didn't return, everyone would be after you in the media and the social media, and he had to return, therefore?
I think he would regret not coming to see his father, elongating the feud even more. I mean, given the trauma that he went through with his family, members of his family dying before, I can't imagine, even if he is feeling particularly grouchy towards his father, that he would sit there.
No one's suggesting the King is dying. I mean, his treatment has been caught early. Sure. A lot of fuss about Prince William going back to work, taking his father duties. I have to say, with all due respect, I'm very, very, very sorry they're going through all these difficulties. Princess of Wales, I wouldn't wish this on any family. Forget it's the royal family. You've got your grandmother's died recently. You've got your father's been been treated for cancer. Your wife has clearly had a very serious abdominal operation. You've got kids. Look, I get it, but you know what? Millions of families deal with this every year. They deal with family death, they deal with cancer diagnoses, and do you know what they do? They go to work the next day, because that's what A, most people have to do, and B, that's what most people just do as a matter of course. I also, with all due respect, the Princess of Wales, I realise she's had serious surgery. There may be more to this that we don't know, but at the end of the day, the kids are at school. You've got a massive team of staff. There are families who are, and I don't think it's a party political, and I don't think it's an anti-monarchy point to point out that millions of families go through this. They don't have the financial ability to make a choice about these things, but they also don't have the feasibility of it. They have no choice. They will lose their job. They have to get up and look after kids because they don't have a team of staff living in a big palace. And I do think the gushing over this of other royals stepping up. Well, that's what families do. Get over it.
But the problem is, if they didn't push this stuff very, very aggressively, then people would say, why aren't they doing it? Where is the signs that they're going back to work? Because this is the royal family, and for some reason, known only to others, we are obsessed with them, and we have to be obsessed with them. Every sort of minutiae of their schedule has to be pored over for any suggestion that one of them might be slacking. And I think you're right,
it's their
what
job.
They're doing is...
Royal duties, they've got royal duties. It's their job.
Yes.
When they go and do a charitable event,
that's
literally what we pay them to do.
However, if they took half a day off to discuss Harry or whatever, people would say, hang on, why aren't they going to work? So, it's one of those things where I don't feel particularly sorry for them for the level of scrutiny that they get, but they would get scrutiny. So with the massive PR machine that they have behind them, it's understandable why they would push to the fore. All hands on
I think people need to be aware of the PR spin that is going on this as well. And this ties in with another story, which is about NHS dentistry. And again, I don't think that it's an anti-monarchy or a nasty or inappropriate thing for people to discuss the fact that the King is getting treatment immediately upon a problem being found. He was able to get very quick treatment for his prostate problem. Lots of people wait an awfully long time. The stats showing that around only 50% of people get an appointment after going to the GP with suspected cancer, get an appointment with a consultant. So before they've even started any tests and things, get an appointment with a consultant within 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's for an urgent referral. Yeah, you've got, we were talking to an oncologist yesterday. You've got, blood in your stools or in your urine. You need an urgent referral. You need tests immediately. The people in this country, millions of people get diagnosed with cancer after waiting months. The longer you wait, the higher the chances it's going to be a higher stage and that you're going to die. The King, and I'm very pleased that he was able to do this, and I know lots of people who've paid for private healthcare because of this fear, able to get quicker care. The reality is the King is getting, whether people agree with it or not, you don't have to like the monarchy or dislike the monarchy, but the King is getting far better care and far quicker care than the average subject of his.
Yeah.
I think that is something worth discussing.
I think it is, but I think it's a question for the Prime Minister, not for the royal family.
Exactly.
And that's something
the King doesn't make the policy. Quite right.
Yeah, but the King does have a weekly audience with the Prime Minister, and it's one of the things that I know people like to say that the royals have to keep out of politics, but they don't keep out of politics because they talk directly to the Prime Minister. We know that Charles has written many letters to many politicians in the past.
And I think a fraction of those.
And I do think that it is potentially a good, not a good thing that he's got ill, but it's something that could perhaps be highlighted, perhaps gently lent on the Prime Minister to say, well, I've read a bit more about, on the subject. This perhaps wasn't as big a thing for me before as, say, house building or whatever it is, but now it is.
But now I realise that I'm getting better treatment because of money. I'm really aware, we've had a family crisis and we had to pay health-wise, and the NHS totally failed us. And I'm a daughter of an NHS GP, always use the NHS, and we had to go private to get stuff. It would have taken 3 months on the NHS, and we got it that day.
Yeah.
And it cost a fortune. We were incredibly lucky. I was so aware of how lucky we were to be in the position to be able to afford it. And it wasn't a question of like, oh, we can choose to spend that money. Most people would not have been in the position to choose it, but it was something that was non-negotiable for me in terms of what we needed to know and urgently. And I do think we need to discuss this. And